Morning, everyone. This is Kate Lambert-Lee with MWR, and thank you for joining us today. I am going to, for the people who enjoy following along with the presentation, I will be adding that in the chat momentarily. But before I do so, I just want to introduce our speaker, Stephen Gales. He has been very helpful for me since I've came in, and this is the second time I've attended the All Things Cruising, and hope to learn even more. But Stephen is our business manager, and he's with Defense Logistics Agency's Morale Welfare Recreation Office in Battle Creek. He has been with them for the past 12 years. He's been a DLA employee for over 20 years, 19 of those with MWR. He's worked in leisure travel for the past 13 years and has a CLIA certified cruise counselor for 11 years. In 2015, Stephen won DLA's MWR Facility and Program Excellence Award. He holds a BA in Tourism and Travel from Western Michigan University. In his free time, he enjoys traveling, especially cruising, and watching more than 100 movies each year in theaters, which I think is most likely without a pandemic. And I can verify any question I've had on travel, cruises. Stephen's always been very knowledgeable and open about sharing that information so I can learn more. So without further ado, also, if you are calling in and you would like a copy of the presentation, email us at mwrbattlecreek@dla.mil. And welcome, Stephen.
Thanks, Kate. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'm not exactly sure which screen you guys can see right now because I'm on two different monitors. So first time doing this, but just wanted to welcome everyone to All Things Cruising. And I actually had the opportunity to take a cruise just in the last month. So I actually have some post-pandemic, or I guess we're still in the pandemic, but cruise experience to get that experience under my belt so that I can tell cruisers what to expect when they're going to be going on their vacation. So I thank everyone for coming today, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this presentation. So this presentation is going to be an overview of cruising, and mostly we're going to be talking about ocean cruising. All right. Sorry, it doesn't seem to want to go to the next thing. Let me swap this out. There we go. Can you see the next slide now, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. So these are just popular questions that I get when customers are asking me about cruising. We do have a lot of first-time cruisers. Being from Michigan, we're far away from most cruise ports. So a lot of people haven't cruised yet. I think statistics even show like 30%, only 30% of the US population has cruised. So it is a new vacation for most people. And so I've actually now been on 10 cruises myself total. So I do have quite a bit of cruising experience. So I'm usually willing to tell anyone about my experiences, but these are a lot of the common questions that we get from first-time cruisers. So the questions I'm going to go through kind of individually to go throughout the presentation. And the first one is going to be, what is a cruise and what does it include? So, cruising is an all-inclusive vacation that takes place on a large ship. A lot of people will call it a boat, but technically it's not a boat. It's actually, the correct terminology is a ship. So I always make a joke about that to people, because if you say that to crew and stuff, they usually, or just cruising professionals in general, they kind of always want to correct you about that. And it often the ship often visits different ports of call. As I said, today's focus is going to be on ocean cruising, and that's the most popular form of cruising. The other question is, what is included with a cruise? So your cruise generally includes, and what I mean by includes, we're talking about the pricing. So everything that is included is your accommodations, food and non-alcoholic beverages. There are cases where they do have packages that alcoholic beverages are included. Entertainment and activities, transportation to some of the most beautiful places on earth, and a license to have fun. If at any point during the presentation you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we'll get to those throughout the presentation and at the end as well. All right. I often also get asked by first-time cruisers, what is the best cruise line? And really, all cruise lines are great. Everyone has a different, there's not really a one-size-fits-all for cruising. So there's different features on all different cruise lines, and there's different things that everybody likes about different cruise lines. So I usually have a line of questioning to find out like what features you want on your cruise. Do you want a large ship or a smaller ship? So there's different types of questions that I get that I ask the customers to find out what it is that they want. But these here are a few of our cruise lines that are preferred cruise suppliers with our agency, Joint Services Travel Program. And so these are the ones that we deal with the most, and they are usually the more popular cruise lines. All right, so next up is, what is a balcony? Is a balcony the best option, and how many people fit in a room? So I usually get this question because a lot of people do want to know, like, what is the best room type? And really, again, it kind of depends on each person. So balconies are not always the best option. If you're not someone who likes to see the horizon go up and down on a cruise, or if you have little children and you're worried about safety of obviously climbing over a balcony or something like that. So really, it just depends on what you want. A lot of people also don't necessarily want a window, which is an ocean view type category, or a balcony, because they don't always have the best light. They don't close off the light well. So sometimes the late light will come in, and if you want to be able to sleep well, then a balcony might not be the best option for you. So there are multiple room types and all different types of budgets, and all rooms are a great option. Interior or inside rooms are generally the least expensive option. Ocean view categories generally have either a porthole or quite a large size window. Again, it depends on the ship. Different ships have different rooms that obviously, as they become more modern, usually the windows tend to be a little bit larger. But if you look at a lot of older ships, sometimes you'll only get a porthole in an ocean view room. And actually some categories of rooms that are inside rooms, I know through Carnival, they have portholes in their interior category rooms as well. So they'll still call it an interior just because they don't want people to think they're going to have a wonderful ocean view from a porthole that's, this big around. So, but it is kind of a cool option to have if you want a room that has some type of sight to the outside of the ship. Many of the inside rooms also, depending on the cruise line and the how modern the ship is, they may have, a lot of them are now doing like a virtual window. So you could be inside, but you have like basically a TV screen that has a virtual view of the ocean. So it looks as though you do have a window in your room. So that there's some cool features like that that are also more available nowadays. There's a balcony veranda. Some cruise lines call the balconies verandas. There's also suite categories, and then there's specialty suites and room categories. And then in some of the newer ships, as they refurbish ships, they are putting in solo rooms. Actually, the ship that I was just on with Royal Caribbean, Ovation of the Seas, I actually walked by a stateroom attendant and had asked them about a room. And he took me into a solo room so that I could see what it looked like. I didn't expect it to be a solo room when I walked in. I thought it was just going to be a regular room because I was looking to see what the room would be like on a certain floor. Just to get an idea of, because there was, I just wanted to see what the view would be from certain levels of the ship. And the ship was not full. Obviously during COVID, the ships are not as full. So he was able to take me into one of the rooms that was not occupied, and it happened to be a solo room. And it was a smaller room, but it would be perfect size for a solo traveler. So a lot of the newer ships do have that as a feature. And like I said, most rooms will fit 2 people because most of the ships are double occupancy is what they base the pricing on, but they do have rooms that sleep up to 5 people. And then even most suites, they try to keep to 5 people. And then there are, like I said, solo rooms now. So there are 1-person rooms. This here is going to be just a general view of what some of the rooms would look like. The first grouping is mostly a setup on Carnival ships, but they're all pretty much similar in size and layout. It may be a little bit different, but this is an interior inside stateroom. So as you see, there's no windows, but you can see there's 2 different layouts here too. If you are traveling with a friend and you don't want to have a shared bedding situation, you can have, basically they have 2, as you can see, they move the nightstands into the middle and they separate the bed into 2 separate twin size beds. So you can, if you have ever gotten into a stateroom and walked into it, you will see sometimes that they didn't have that pre-set up. You just let your stateroom attendant know and they will rearrange that for you. Here's an ocean view stateroom. As I said, they have a pretty decent sized window in them usually. So it does have a good view. Most ocean view category staterooms are on the lower levels of the ship. So it'll usually be on deck 1 or possibly deck 1 or deck 2. It depends on where they start their public decks, and how large the ship is. But generally deck 2, deck 3 will have an ocean view type stateroom in it. There will be occasional ones that will be higher up, but it usually would have like an aft view or something like that. So they might be in just a separate location, which is more of a specialty type room category. All staterooms generally have, now this one does have a couch, you'll see there on the right. Not all staterooms have that, but a lot of them do. There's usually a couple closets in the room, and then a vanity. In every stateroom I've ever been in, they have a vanity as well. And there's usually drawers and stuff for you to store stuff. Some staterooms have like a fridge in them, or if you have, need a fridge for medical reasons, you can request that if the stateroom doesn't automatically have it. This is a balcony styled stateroom. Again, you have the couch, king size bed, and a beautiful balcony. Usually it's got a door and a window that you can sit at. There's usually two chairs or loungers, depending on the size of the balcony outside. So it is a good extra space to have if you want to, just sit outside and look at the sights on your own. A lot of people like to have balconies, especially in cruises like a Panama Canal cruise, so you can sit in your stateroom and not have to be in a public area to see stuff. And they're also very popular in Alaska because the scenery there is, beautiful as well. But definitely is one of those things where once you've kind of experienced it, most people prefer to have a balcony type stateroom. So suites can come in all different shapes and sizes, and I have these are a few that are available on Carnival cruises, but as you can see, they're kind of different designs and shapes. I believe that the bottom one here is on the cruise that I was actually on, Ovation of the Seas. They were actually giving night stays away during the cruise for cruisers to be able to experience the stateroom each night. So that was kind of a cool opportunity. If people were able to get that or wanted to upgrade to that for one night, they were able to do that. So there's bi-level rooms, there's all kinds of different living rooms, dining rooms, all included in a lot of these different suites. And then this is a studio stateroom on some of the Norwegian ships. This is a newer concept. It started about 4 years ago, I want to say. And they actually have this lounge area for the same solo cruisers. So if you want to meet other people, this area is only accessible to those who have the studio staterooms. And that way you can kind of meet other cruisers and possibly, form friendships and stuff. So it's kind of a cool setup there on those ships as well. And as you can see, the footprint of that room is a bit smaller than the other ones that you had seen previously. And then this is a family stateroom on a Disney cruise. They do have bathtubs in some of the ships. So there are a lot of the newer ships are starting to feature more of that because families do have kids that it's not easy to shower with them. So a lot of them are starting to convert to rooms that do have bathtubs in them as well. All right, so another question that I get quite often is food included? And yes, generally that is one of the amenities that is always included on cruises. And usually there's enough food to feed yourself every hour of the day if you want. There's all kinds of different options for you. And it's like I say here, bring your loose pants because there's plenty of food to be enjoyed. Cruises are inclusive of food and non-alcoholic beverages. And sometimes soda, most times on most cruise lines, soda does cost extra. And it doesn't on Disney. It is included with your cruise fare. However, most of the other cruise lines, you do have to purchase a package that is for usually it's for soda and then like juices and stuff like that. And then also they have buffets, main dining, dessert buffets, brunch, and other specialty like dining type of restaurants as well. That can be included sometimes. Most of them don't include the specialty dining, but all of the buffets and main dinings and that are usually included. Specialty dining, they may have like a steakhouse. Some of the newer ships will have multiple restaurants at them. So they may have like an Italian restaurant or an Asian restaurant. A lot of them are featuring sushi, and that usually does have an additional cost involved with it. So because of COVID and different packages that are becoming available, they are a lot of times including those as a perk to get people to come on board. So if it is something that you're interested in, Norwegian Cruise Line has a package that includes the specialty dining. So if that's something that's really important to you, you want to have a lot of different options that you don't want to pay extra for, just let me know when you're asking about your cruise fares, and I'll try to find certain ones that may have that included. Some of the ships do have like a Starbucks or a specialty cafe in them that do cost extra as well. Or they have what they call chef's table, or they'll have experiences where you basically watch the chef make the food. And those are more of a specialty dining type situation, and those do usually have a cost to them as well. So if you do get some of the promotions do have like onboard credits. And a lot of times you can use your onboard credit to purchase specialty dining or any of the other extras. If you want to go get specialty coffees or whatever, those would be charged to your account, and then your onboard credit would cover the cost of those. I do have a, oh, it's a comment. For specialty dining, I advise booking a reservation ahead of time. Reservations fill up quickly. Yes, that is correct. So usually a lot of them have a pre-booking option that you can do as you're doing, once you have booked your cruise and you can do your online check-in, you can go on and book all different types of amenities. So your spa type bookings, if you want a pedicure, manicure, massages, all different types of spa things, those are, you can book in advance, as well as specialty dining. So that is a good advice. Thanks, Alex. And these are all pictures that I have personally taken on different cruises. So these are what you would see. These first few are going to be on Carnival cruises, because we usually do our group cruises the last few years on Carnival. So that's where a lot of my pictures have been coming from. But you can see there's a lot of different options when it comes to the food. And then this here, the dining room is a Carnival Cruise dining room photo, and this is where the main dining would be. So every evening, that's where you would have your dinner if you don't choose to go to the buffet. And then there's also usually like a brunch. If you have a sea day brunch or something, it would be in the main dining here as well. These dishes were actually on my last cruise here that I took on Royal Caribbean. So there's a lot of really nice food options, and hopefully those are making you hungry, because they're making me hungry right now. So so yes, very good, delicious food on the cruises. And like I said, you can order as much as you want and enjoy it as much as you want. So so that's kind of an unlimited thing that's always at your hands. So what fun things are there to do on a cruise? So cruises have many features for all different activity types. So there's nightly entertainment. So in the evening, they will have stage shows, karaoke, comedy, live music, casinos, and bingo is also available if you like to gamble. Pools and hot tubs. Some of them have water parks and water slides on them. It just depends on the size of the ship and what they feature, but the majority of them have some sort of water park type feature or water slide. There's sports courts. So up on the upper decks generally have basketball, volleyball, putt-putt, table tennis, and more. You'll see some pictures here in a little bit of some really cool features that they had on the Ovation of the Seas ship. So you'll get to see that. Ropes course and rock climbing walls. Some of them have, sorry, got to move some things around. Nightclubs and dancing classes, art galleries, food and wine tasting, arcades and kid-only club areas, kids pools and teen nightclub. So those are usually secluded in special areas just for the kids. So I definitely recommend, if you have kids, that you can take them to those areas. That way you can have your own private time, and they have chaperones and stuff for those kid-only club areas. They have spas and adult-only decks and pools on the Carnival ships. They call it the Serenity Deck. So they do have special areas just for the adults that kids cannot get into. And it's really usually a more quiet and serene area. They have it really, and I have some pictures of it that you'll see coming up here as well. They also have fitness center and fitness classes, movie theaters and IMAX on some ships. And they have daily scheduled activities such as trivia. They have a hairy chest competition on a lot of ships, or ice carving. So there's a lot of different options that may be of interest to you to keep you engaged and have activities to do throughout the day. Here are some pictures of some of the the shows and different features. The casino picture is one that I took myself. The other ones are, I believe, are stock photos. Here are some other pictures of features of ships. So the bottom left corner is the Serenity Deck at one of the Carnival cruise ships. And as you can see, water slides and pools. A lot of the pools have bars near them. And I actually had somebody that was reviewing this presentation and said, why is there a kid at the bar? Well, a lot of the soda packages and Carnival, you do have to get the soda from a bar or a restaurant location. So that's why the kid is at the bar. He's probably getting a soda. So in case anybody is worried about that little kid. And then there's a piano bar that's featured on quite a few of the Carnival ships as well. And that's a promenade, a deck of one of the promenade pictures down below there. And then these are some ship pictures of the ship that I just was on in Seattle in Alaska. We left out of Seattle for this one. And they had a lot of really cool features for kids and families. They had an Xbox area where you could go and play Xbox. We have, obviously, you can see there's still slides and different water features on this ship. This is the outdoor pool, but this ship also had an indoor pool, as well as a cascading pool with multiple whirlpools or hot tubs in the adult only area. I don't believe I have a picture of that, but they had a bumper car area. They call it the Seaplex. So you can see it's surrounded by these little areas where they had putt golf. That's where one of the Xbox areas was. They had arcade games or like the air hockey and stuff like that. All of that was available. So where the bumper cars, they would remove those and they would be able to play basketball or different sports. So they had like a free throw competition and all different activities throughout the week that you could do. As you can see in the left, a photo on the left there, they have, and I forget the name of it, but this capsule that would rise up above the ship that you could see when you got into port to have beautiful views of Alaska. And so that's one of the cool features of this ship as well. And also the surfing as well. They had a rock climbing wall on this ship as well. So these are just pictures that I took of Alaska. We did a train excursion up into the mountains in Skagway, and every night we got a common theme that you'll see on most every cruise is the towel animals. So those will be featured every evening before you go to bed. They'll come in and do your turn down service and usually put a towel animal in your room. And just another beautiful view of Alaska, and that's one of the glaciers that we saw. And then these are some of the kid club areas. So like I said, they have the stingrays. I think the other one's sharks. They have different themes for the different age groups and different activities and stuff scheduled for them throughout their cruise week. All right, another question that I get quite often is, what is the best island to visit? Again, everybody likes something a little bit different. So the best island to visit is any island that has beach, rum, and no sharks. And then I, of course, try to be funny, and maybe the sharks are okay. Cruises to many destinations, and they're all over the Caribbean. There's not just islands. So here are some of the destinations that you can visit on cruises. The most popular generally are Caribbean or Mexican cruises. So you can go to multiple islands: Aruba, Jamaica, Grand Turk, Bahamas, Grand Cayman, St. Martin, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico, Curacao, Bonaire. There's Haiti cruises for that stop at Haiti for Royal Caribbean stops there. So some of the cruise lines have different islands that they will go to that some of the other islands don't. So if you do want to see a specific location, it is important to look at the different itineraries and see which cruise lines may have a special stop that the other ones may not have on their itineraries. So Mexican Riviera cruises generally go to coast. I don't have that featured here, but so there's Mexico on the Gulf side, so on the Caribbean side. So Cozumel, Costa Maya, and Progreso. And then on the Riviera side, there is Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta are the common stops there. There's also stops in Central America that usually happen on Panama Canal cruises. Alaska and British Columbia, Canada, and New England cruises are also quite popular during the summer months. They generally run, Alaska cruises generally run from May through September. And then Canada cruises are usually featured in late summer, early fall. So if you are interested in those, you don't necessarily want to have a warm, hot destination to go to. There's definitely beautiful scenery at these locations and lots of history to see if you're doing like a New England type cruise. There's also Mediterranean cruises in Spain, Italy, Greece, all of the different Mediterranean, different islands and the countries that are along the Mediterranean. Those are very popular cruises and quite affordable. Getting there isn't necessarily the most affordable option, but once you're there, the cruises themselves are very comparable to Caribbean cruises. There's also cruises to Hawaii or South America and the Galapagos Islands. Those are more of a specialty cruise if you're going to the Galapagos, but there are cruise lines that do offer that. The Hawaiian cruises are generally longer cruises if you're leaving from Southern California. You're going to take 3 or 4 days to get to the islands. You'll cruise around the islands for about 7 days and then you'll head back. There is one cruise line, Norwegian, that does cruise just the islands. So if you fly to Hawaii, you can do the 7-day cruise of the Hawaiian Islands. There's also Asian, Australian, and New Zealand cruises as well. So many of the ships during the winter months will leave like Alaska and head down to the Asian or Australian type itineraries. All right. Okay, so the next question is, what do we do when we get to the ports of call? So you can do whatever you want. Some people don't even want to get off the ship and they just like staying on board and enjoying the ship when the pools and stuff are not as busy because people are not, not as many people are on the ship. So some people like to have that quieter time to enjoy the features of the ship. But most ports of call have all different types of adventures. Excursions are an add-on that gives you the opportunity to see what each port is about. And there's different types of port excursions. There's sightseeing tours and shopping tours. There's ATV and adventure tours. You can do these on your own. A lot of times they'll have places where you can go rent an ATV or like a Jeep or something like that and drive around the island. Or you can do it as a group excursion. So they already have a pre-planned, itinerary, and they have a tour guide that will take you around the island. There's beach days and tours that include snorkeling and scuba diving. There's party boat cruises. You can go to all-inclusive resorts, zip lining and cave diving. There's educational or arts tours. We have swimming with the dolphins or rays. And then there's also food and wine tours. But there's all kinds of activities. You can just get off the ship and do shopping if you want. You don't necessarily have to join an excursion, but many of them have these opportunities out there if you do want to have a more structured vacation and a more structured view of what's at those ports. All right, so the next question is, how long is a cruise? So cruises can be of all different lengths. I don't know if you guys saw in the news recently, but there was a cruise that was like a world cruise that literally was like 10 months long, sometimes almost a year. So that can be anywhere from 3 nights, sometimes even 2 nights, all the way up to 6 months to a year. So, but the most popular tend to be the 7 days or less. And then if you do like a Panama Canal cruise, those will generally be up to 14 nights. So like I said, you can go anywhere from 3 nights to 7 nights are the most popular, but it just depends on what you want for your itinerary. While on board, how do I pay for stuff? So cruises are mainly a cashless system. You will generally get a, everyone calls it something different, a sail and sign card, all different. Basically your room key is like a plastic credit card. It has your basic information on it, your name, and they try not to put your room number on there, because if you lose it, people know where to go to get into your room. So they don't usually have information like that on there, or they have it coded in a way that you don't necessarily know what it is. But like I said, it's basically a cashless system. So that card will basically be used to make any purchase while you're on board. So at check-in, you will be given your room key or your card, and it can be used as your payment. Your photo is taken before you get on board. Many of the online check-in systems now are allowing you to upload a photo beforehand. And as long as that's a clear photo, they'll let you use that for your profile. And then while you're going to different places on the ship, so if you want to go to a restaurant, or if you want to go to a bar and purchase something, if you want to go to a souvenir shop, any of those types of things, you will be able to scan your card and it all goes onto your account. And then whatever credit card that you provided them at online check-in, it'll be basically pre-authorized and put onto your account. And at the end of the cruise, it'll be charged to your credit card. If you don't have a credit card or don't like using a credit card, many of them will allow you to put cash on file. So you just, when you're checking in, you will have to go see an agent and give them the amount of cash to put onto your account. And you can add more cash to that at guest services throughout the cruise. Or if at the end of the cruise, you still want to, if you want to use your credit card, but then have cash that you want to put towards it, you can go at the end of the cruise and put whatever amount of cash you want towards your account, and then it'll just charge the remaining balance. Or so you can it's kind of flexible, but it does, give you some options. Casinos are if you need cash, casinos are kind of one of the best ways to get cash. You can go play on a machine. You can actually charge your account. So let's say you're going to a port the next day and you're like, oh, I forgot to get some cash, because maybe you wanted to be able to do tips or just purchase souvenirs and you don't want to have to process a card. Then you can technically go to the casino and load money onto a machine like you're going to play, and then cash that out, and you can use that to have cash as well. So it's kind of a way to get around using ATMs as well and having fees. Just know that whatever you obviously charge to that, you're going to be charged on your account at the end of the cruise through your credit card. Gratuities are also something that will be added onto your account throughout the cruise if you have not already prepaid for them. So most of them run around $15 per day, and it does cover the services that are done by the stateroom attendants, as well as your weight room staff and different staff throughout the cruise that will be servicing you. Another question that is common is, how large are the ships? The ship up on the left here is the Ovation of the Seas. I believe I looked that up. It's around 5,000 passengers that it can hold. It was quite a large ship. And certain large ships can only go certain places. So certain ports, because of the shallow ground, don't allow the larger ships. You might only see certain destinations when you get on those types of ships. But there's anywhere from 850 feet to 1,181 feet. That's almost 3 football fields for those who want to give an idea of how long a ship is. And most smaller ships will hold around 2,000 passengers, and the largest cruise ships will hold up to over 6,000 passengers. So yeah, they're quite large, different sizes. On the right there are 2 different Carnivals. I believe those are Carnival ships that are next to each other at port. So they are a little bit different in size and shape, and as they come out with newer ships, they're tending to get larger and larger. So you will be seeing more larger ships as time progresses here, because it is becoming a more popular vacation, and people are really liking the features and stuff that are available on those larger ships. All right, so one of the things that many of you are probably hopefully joining for is to find out information about what are the COVID-19 protocols. So with cruising right now, there are some requirements that are guidelines that are put in place by the CDC. Many of them are being it was just renewed. The rules are in place through January 15th of 2022. Based on everything that I've read at that time, after that time, unless there's, I'm assuming, major increase in cases or something that makes the pandemic seem like it's getting worse, then right now they're expecting those policies to become voluntary with the cruise lines. So they're kind of putting the cruise lines in control of what they're going to decide that they want done with the COVID-19 policies. But each cruise line will have different policies and procedures. So it's important to view their guidelines on their website before you make a decision on what you want to do for your cruise. And I can help you through that process, because I know there's a lot of information out there and everyone kind of does something a little bit different. But the basics are right now being guided by the CDC. I did get an email recently from one of the cruise lines that they are pretty much going to keep policies in place through March of next year, and they'll reevaluate then. But it's kind of just going to be a wait and see game to see what is required. So right now, the current protocols are that 95% of guests and staff are vaccinated, are fully vaccinated. And that means, again, if you're doing different types of vaccinations, if you're doing any of the mRNA vaccines, that means 2 weeks after your second dose. And then on the one shot for, I believe, Johnson & Johnson is 7 days after is fully vaccinated. The AstraZeneca one, I believe, is very similar to that. So obviously just look at what the guidelines are for those vaccinations, but they are requiring it. Right now, obviously with the new release of the 5 to 12-year-olds, that hasn't really changed anything yet because it's so new. So they are, I believe, still allowing exemptions for children under 12. But anyone 12 and older. There are some other religious exemptions or exemptions for people who have proven to have had COVID. But there's very limited and it's not recommended to try to get exemptions because some of the rulings don't come out until like just a few weeks before the cruise, and if you are not, it's not necessarily going to allow you enough time to get vaccinated. So it's definitely recommended to be vaccinated to participate in a cruise currently. Alex, I'll get to that here in a second. He's asking, does public areas include outside or just indoors? So the most of them are indoor public areas that they require the masks. So on the cruise that I just, so third bullet point, mask requirements are in public areas, mostly indoor areas. If you're outdoors, actually, let me go through the list and then I'll kind of go over my experience. So most have negative, must have a negative COVID-19 test 48 to 72 hours before. There's different requirements for each type of person. Most of them are requiring the 48 hours for vaccinated guests and 72 hours for the children. PCR or antigen tests are allowed, but just make sure that there are specific requirements for the type of test because not all of them do qualify. So just make sure you look at the guidelines to see which tests do qualify. Masks are required, like I said, in public areas and dining areas, unless you're actively eating or drinking. And that there are some exemptions for that. So I'll get to that in a minute. Vaccinated only, and this is where that comes into play. So vaccinated only guest events or services. So there are areas of the ship. So like when we did the shows in the evening, the main level of the show, the main floor was for only vaccinated guests. And they allowed the unvaccinated guests, which was generally children, because at that time they weren't allowed to be vaccinated. So families that had children could sit upstairs, but they were required to wear masks in the upper level. On the lower level, you were not required to wear a mask if you were vaccinated. So because that was only the vaccinated area. At casinos, each ship, each cruise line seems to be a little bit different. But some of them are requiring masks and some of them are, unless you are smoking or drinking at a casino. Casinos are one of the only areas of ships that allow smoking indoors. So you can, if you don't have to wear a mask if you're smoking or drinking. Or on our ship, the casino was considered a vaccinated area. Because only adults were allowed in. So, or guests that had the vaccination, we wore a band. So they were able to be in that casino without. But some of the cruise lines have a little bit different rules. So we'll just make sure you know what those are. You must show a vaccination card at check-in, as well as proof of a negative COVID test. So that was the very first thing that we did when we walked through for check-in. We did have to show that information. Social distancing, capacity limits and elevators and buffets. They actually had to scan in our cards to go in and out of the buffet. As we entered the buffet area, they had a hand washing station set up. So they required you to use that hand washing station as well before you used the buffet. I personally think that it was a great idea to have that beforehand. So now that they're kind of requiring that, it's a great thing to have, just to prevent the spread of germs. And then they have enhanced ventilation on many ships. I've included here a link to a lot of the guidelines that are required by the CDC currently for cruises. So yes, Alex, most outdoor locations do not require face masks. It's voluntary at that point if you want to do that or All right, so, oh, well, that's anticlimactic. um, so I'm not sure what happened to this presentation, but there should be a flyer here of our group cruise that is going to be coming out that I was announcing today. So I may have to go into my presentation and fix something, but so we do have a group cruise planned for 2022. The sail date is, and actually it's probably going to appear backwards to you all, but this is the flyer. I will post this information.
I put it in the chat, Stephen.
Okay. All right. Thank you. She did put it in the chat. It is a PDF that you can download. But we are featuring a 7-day cruise on November 13th of 2022. So that is the Sunday following Veterans Day. It gives you a chance to maybe travel on that Friday before and give you an extra day or two at the destination, which is Miami. We're going to be sailing out of Miami on the Oasis of the Seas, and it is going to be sailing to Perfect Cay, the Perfect Day at Coco Cay, Bahamas, and then San Juan, Puerto Rico, and then Phillipsburg, St. Martin. The Oasis ship is one of the largest ships, so the one that had over the 6,000 people. That is this ship. I've actually sailed on this ship actually almost 10 years ago now for a training that I went on. And it's an amazing ship with a lot of awesome features. It has a park in the middle of it that literally has trees growing in it. But it's so large, like I know I didn't even see everything that the ship had to offer. So that is going to be coming out. Interior pricing starts at $474. Ocean View $615, and Central Park view balconies or boardwalk balconies run in the $654 to $674 per person range, and then ocean view balconies are at $744. Right now they're offering, you can set aside a room for $50 per stateroom, so that's $25 per guest for double occupancy. For $50, they need that by December 15th. So just let me know if you are interested in that room. That is a non-refundable deposit. And then full payment is going to be due in August. So we can set up a plan. Cassandra, for some reason, I'm sorry, it did not show up on the presentation. I'm not sure why, but in the chat feature there, Kate did post a file for the cruise. It'll be going out all news, and anybody who wants this information, I will email it directly to you. So just let me know and we'll get that sent to you. I apologize for it not showing up on the screen. And then we can also add on airfare and transfers and stuff like that as well. So this is our featured group cruise for 2022. Just in case anyone is interested, we technically have another group cruise that was planned last year for 2022 to Alaska. That pricing is already passed. So whatever the current pricing is for that cruise, you can still join that cruise if you would like. It is on a Norwegian ship, and we'll be leaving out of Seattle, and as a 7-day Alaskan cruise. So if you're interested in that one as well, we do have that cruise that you can still join as part of the group. And there are lots of cool perks that are going on right now with Norwegian cruises. Also looking at doing a group for spring break of 2023. So that information will be coming out in the next few months as well. So do look for that one here in the near future as well. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. Does anybody have any questions over anything that we have discussed today? If you want to type it in the chat box, you can. Kate, are they able to come on through the mic as well, if they would like?
I believe it will let them.
Right.
They should just be able to unmute themselves.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? I know we covered quite a bit of information. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or as you, I do have a question here that says, can you leave cash chips? Yes, you can. I a lot of the cruises will offer envelopes at guest services if you do want to. So a lot of people will prepay their tips, but then also give additional cash chips to their stateroom attendant or their wait staff at the dining if they did a really good job. I definitely recommend doing that. Offering them a cash chip is a lot of them do a lot of hard work during that week and really make your cruise experience wonderful. So if you do want to leave cash chips, that is definitely something that you can do. So if you want to bring some cash with you, you can do that. I have put my information here on this last slide. If anybody does want to email me directly, if you want this presentation, we will get this sent out to you as well. For those that, I believe Kate did put it in the chat box at the beginning. And we also have a survey that you can complete following the Lunch and Learn, just to give us feedback on you know, what we're offering and give us some more insight into the presentation. Like I said, you can do a download the presentation. I do believe that presentation that Kate has does have the slide on it with the information for the group cruise as well. So feel free to download that, but reach out to me, email the MWR DLA box, and we will get that sent to you as well if it's after the fact. And any more questions from anyone? All right, well, we're gonna finish the presentation now. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us. And we're here for you. Right now, our hours are 9:30 to 2:30, Monday through Friday. I do telework multiple days a week. So the best way to reach me is usually by email. And then you can stop into the office. Our office, Angel is usually here throughout the week, and she will be able to get you in contact with me if you do need something specific. But email is the best way to contact me. And then I will follow up with you to give you the information and help you plan your vacations. All right, everyone. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Kate.